3, 2, 1, record. Thank you.
Hold on.
Are you kidding me?
Tatanka.
Hold on. God dang it. Let's try opening that up again. I had it closed and I reopened it.
It's always Glenn. It's
Shut up.
always Glenn.
All right, I'm ready again. Let's go.
All right, take 2. 3, 2, 1, record.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 10 of 2023. I'm Chris Louie, and appreciative for all the comments we got on our 100th episode special of the podcast. With me, I have my first best co-host I could ask for, Duke Silver. Congratulations on the new toy, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for calling me out. Now everyone's like, no, I got a new toy. But y'all have to just guess what it is or follow me on Instagram to find out while I still have it.
Well, you can't just say that. You have to put your handle in it. I'll put the handle in the show notes. So what's your Instagram handle?
Dr. Brian Deach.
But you gotta tell them it's DR, not spelled out doctor.
Yeah,
these are audio-only listeners.
Brian Deach. Yes.
All right, well,
and
now
you
I
have to read my bio to
it.
figure out why I'm a doctor.
It's Diarrhea Deach.
It's not a lie. On this carnivore diet, it's ferocious.
All right, well, link will be in the description. I have to put it in there now.
Okay.
And we have our other best co-host, the fighting Filipino Glenn Medina, or as we now like to call him, my left hand.
That's so mean, Chris. Just I tell you what, it's been rough. It's been a rough, Thursday? It's been a rough 5 days for me. Third surgery on my hands, two trigger finger releases, and I've got to admit, this one had me in pain and crying, pretty much in a ball crying on Wednesday night after the surgery. So, and it's still hard to recover.
The baby's hand what?
You have your hand cut up and you tell me how it feels when you can't lift anything or touch anything. It's crazy.
That's just every day for me, man.
Gotta pop those Percocets.
I'll tell you. Something like that.
The reference of my left hand, I hope you got the reference. It's My Left Foot from Daniel Day-Lewis.
I did not get it.
He had a non-functioning left foot. Yeah. So, my left hand.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Todd, this week, due to Brian changing the schedule on us at the last minute, so you are not allowed to make fun of him this week, otherwise he would have been on.
He would have canceled last minute anyway, so I feel zero bad.
I guess we'll never know.
Maybe next week. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd rather have him on here instead of myself.
Information we could have used before we kicked off the show, but here we are now.
Oh, come on now. You know that. I'm not that important.
Combined, we have decades of information security experience. We're here not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 fantastic stories for this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We're going to change the format of the show a little bit and have a more long-form closing the loop and take away the opening topic. I think the opening topic is more relevant when we have a guest on, so we'll either do closing the loop or the opening topic, but try not to do both of those anymore. We've heard your feedback, so let us know if you like this new format better. Also, after I posted episode number 100, iTunes notified me that we now have 3 full days of podcast content. Episode 100 not only marks the 100th time we did this podcast together, but 72 full hours of amazing InfoSec and dad joke content.
So what you're saying is someone wanted to binge listen to us, they could for like a whole long weekend?
For 3 straight days.
Wow, that's amazing.
Do you have that, like a podcast and cry because it's so pathetic to just listen to us for 72 straight hours?
That or a long drive.
I've had to listen to us more than once. I have to listen to the full show when I edit it, and then I often listen to the show. Well, we experience the show making it, and then I often listen to the show after I post it as well, just to make sure that there are no audio issues.
Thank you, Chris. You're doing the Lord's work.
I know. Love you, Chris.
Chris also takes notes every time I drop an F-bomb. He's like, all right, at 32:24, I got to edit.
Like Brian swearing on the podcast again.
You guys will never know if it's actually true.
Yeah, actually, after I posted episode 100, I didn't notice there was an error in Glenn's audio at one section where he got really, really quiet, and that was due to the software I was using. So I actually had to go back, re-edit it, repost it, and hope that nobody noticed. It was only like that for maybe like 4 hours before I figured it out.
That's funny because I didn't notice it, but I'm half asleep half the time, so
yeah,
I'm just along for the ride, guys. Everyone that's listening, I'm just along for the ride.
Of the three hosts, and I'm not trying to make fun of you here, but of the three hosts, the most comments I get about audio issues is for you, Glenn. They say you're either too loud or you're too soft, and
oh man,
I don't know if that's my fault for doing things in post, or I think you just have a very large range as well.
Range. Is that what you're saying? I can sing?
You can sing.
You can probably hear me breathing too at times, so I'm a deep breather.
That I edit out in post. So you're
Thank
welcome.
goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I think you've actually gotten better. You've gotten better at not doing the thing anymore. I think you've gotten a lot better with that. That you sound a lot more in the earlier episodes.
Trying.
Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@PEBCAK Podcast. I have not posted it yet, but very, very soon our Try Not to Laugh Dad Joke Challenge will be up there. But all of our episodes are up there with the podcast content overlaid over some Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 action.
Is it unedited?
Yeah, you can't post the unedited one because we will be demonetized so badly.
Yeah, so I can post the swearing on YouTube, but there are two jokes in particular I think I have to edit them out because you will get my channel taken down with strikes, I think, if I end up posting those two.
What's funny was your jokes, too. This is so funny about that.
Yeah.
My jokes landed, yours.
You should put a governor on your...
For all those
You're
out there that
ready.
are listening, we had a challenge and Brian failed to listen to the instructions. So
It's not that I failed. I just didn't want to do it the way you guys wanted me to. So,
Yeah, instead of coming with dad jokes, he came in with some highly inappropriate content that
Not true.
will absolutely get me banned on YouTube.
Whatever. Don't listen to this guy.
single dad jokes. That's what we'll call them.
Liar.
There you go. Yeah.
Liar. Pantalones on fire.
This week, we're going to talk about layoffs in tech. Next, we have a PC game maker getting smart about cheaters. For our third topic, IoT devices are getting a much-needed security spotlight. And close with Netflix password sharing, since we didn't get to that last week. Closing the loop this week, I sent you guys this story in group chat, but want to tell the listeners about it. I have some relatives visiting me from overseas, and one night we got onto the topic of ChatGPT, and some people at that gathering didn't know what that was, so I got to explain it to them for about a half hour of what ChatGPT is and how it's going to change the world. My wife only learned about it from her coworker a week ago, and I told her we literally have a segment on our show called ChatGPT Story of the Week that we've been doing all year.
So my wife just calls it Chad because she misheard me the first time tell the story about ChatGPT. So she's like, anything new with Chad? And this is at least once a day. I'm like, no, hon, nothing
All
new
right,
with Chad.
Moscow. There you go, Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
Moscow meal.
Apparently, listening is a challenge in the Deach household across both spouses.
Yeah. For our first topic, we really haven't addressed the massive tech layoffs that are happening right now. The InfoSec tie-in would be insider threat detection and prevention, but we could also talk about the macro factors that are contributing to the massive layoffs, specifically in tech right now. I think that's one of those things. You don't really see a shortage or a mass layoff in construction or retail or the service industry. If anything, there's a shortage of people in those industries. But in tech, I think that's a big exception this time. All the major tech companies, the so-called FANG stocks, Facebook, Meta, Amazon, Netflix, and Alphabet's Google, plus tech in general, have collectively laid off more than 100,000 people in just the first 2 months of 2023. Companies like Salesforce, Microsoft, PayPal, and Zoom are not spared from this either. The only major tech company to not announce layoffs is Apple. And that's because Apple hired carefully, so they do not need to do the layoffs. The story is the same for nearly every tech company out there. Tech companies boomed during the global pandemic, and companies hired way too fast, thinking the gravy train would never run out. Now that there are macroeconomic headwinds, namely high inflation and the elimination of a zero interest rate policy, or ZIRP, the easy money's gone and companies cannot continue to operate in this space. There's a story on Business Insider that layoffs are happening so fast and so frequently that employees at Google are only learning about their colleagues' departures when their emails bounce back. And that's actually not that uncommon. Just this week, I got a call from someone asking if I heard the news of someone's departure from the company, and I had already known that news because I saw that person's account was deactivated in the collaboration tool that we use. The rumors that this first 100,000 layoffs is only the beginning, and to expect several more rounds if economic conditions do not improve.
I'm 100% sure a lot of those people that lost their job, they probably had 2 or 3 jobs to begin with, right? They were probably milking it anyways during COVID. So they're like, oh man, Netflix laid me off. Good thing I still work for Google. And, just so on and so forth.
Yeah, we did that story a while ago about ADP of their full-time workers having multiple jobs at the same time.
Dude, I think I sent a message in the group chat. Even Facebook is actually laying off the robots that do cleaning.
And Google. Yeah, the Google. Yeah, Google robots.
Yeah. I wonder how sad those robots are. I hear someone's Alexa going off.
Yeah, it's because I said the G word and have one of those devices sitting about 2 feet away from me.
You idiot.
The listener of evil?
Yeah, I should put that on mute. It's true.
So along these lines, just along these lines, I mean, my heart goes out to anyone that may have lost their job recently. I mean, like I said, that's terrible. I mean, but it's unsustainable, right? We've had some serious growth over the last couple of years, but it's bad that we've got these other economic conditions that are going on as well. Do you guys think? I mean, what do you guys think about that continuing on, and when do you guys think this will be bouncing back? Do you guys have input on that?
If I knew that, I wouldn't have to work anymore because I could time the market perfectly.
Right, but you have an idea. You just can't.
Yeah. In all seriousness, the time it takes for a recession to fully bottom out, and we are in a recession. We hit the technical requirement that we are in a recession now. We're starting to bounce back from that, but we're in a weird recession now that unemployment is record low, tech layoffs are at a record high, service industry jobs are at the number of openings is a record high, and they can't fill them fast enough, which is fueling the inflation because you have to hire people at higher salaries. They in turn spend more, fueling the inflation. We're in this endless cycle. I think I've heard from the VC world, so the venture capital world, have enough funding. I think the rule used to be have 8 quarters of cash. Now it's have like 15 quarters of cash. So it's definitely changed, especially in this non-zero rate interest policy period that we're in right now.
So what is everyone doing? Or am I not lying? A lot of people just have 2 or 3 jobs, and that's the reason why unemployment is so low.
It's also the way we measure unemployment here in the U.S. It's anybody who's looking for a job. So anyone that's exited the job market, that they just say, I'm going to stay in my parents' basement. I'm not going to look for a job anymore, or I'm going to live off the government dole and not get a job anymore. They're not counted toward the unemployment number anymore.
Really?
It's sort of an antiquated way of how we count unemployment.
So all the homeless or unhoused people over there on the West Coast, they don't count towards the unemployment?
If they're not actively seeking employment, they do not count towards the unemployment number.
What if they're actively seeking meth? Does that count?
They want to work for Walter White?
Yeah. But that's kind of a mistake, though, right? I mean, you've been counting this way for several years now, for many, many years now, and then all of a sudden you just to skew the numbers because you want political rightness or whatnot. You're just skewing the numbers. You're not actually advertising the truth there.
It's true. I want to be fair. It's a left and a right problem, because when it favors your party, it says, oh, well, the unemployment, you're measuring it wrong. Technically, the economy is way worse than it is. And then when it is in your favor, it says, well, we've been doing this for 30 years. This is the benchmark that we use. So, yep, you'll hear those complaints from both sides of the aisle. And unemployment and GDP numbers are what you call trailing indicators. So I know you guys are lighting up right now because you all know all about trailing and leading indicators because of certain practices we do. But they're trailing indicators. They tell you how the economy did last quarter. We want to know what the economy is going to do this quarter, next quarter. And I think looking at data from FedEx, UPS, the post office, are they processing record numbers of parcels? Is consumer spending at an all-time high? Those are greater indications of leading indicators for where the economy is going. And based on the numbers, based on the inflation numbers, it's not looking good for this calendar year.
So sad. But going back to, I don't even know what episode it was, but Victorinox, the Swiss Army company. You guys remember that? Yeah. They do their Fortress balance sheet. And even through COVID, they laid off 0 people.
Yeah.
So in the last 130 plus years, I know they're not a tech company, but good for them. I think everyone should take a page out of their book.
Nintendo's another one. Nintendo can be classified as a tech company-ish because they sell hardware, they do software. They do not do layoffs either. So through the pandemic, they kept people on even if at a loss. And their opinion is it's better to have people not fear the next layoff. They'll be much, much more productive than the people that don't know when that hammer is going to drop on them, and they're going to be way less productive.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, good on companies if they can adopt that. And they have the cash flow, they have the planning, the foresight. Apple is like that. They might have let go some of their recruiters, but they're not like the other companies with tens of thousands of layoffs.
Yeah.
So do you agree that? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just know from previous experience when there was an M&A. With a couple companies ago, there was basically no productivity done this last 8 months from the time they announced the acquisition to when we knew that people were going to get laid off. No one was really doing anything. It was such a wash, right? So,
yeah.
You guys agree that the way you should find out someone was laid off is just the email gets bounced back, or you can't collaborate with them? I think proactively notifying people could be a little to the detriment, right? Might lower overall morale. And it's funny to me, like that person you talk about, Chris, she's been gone for like 10 days. People are still just finding out. Like, I'm like, wow, yeah. So I guess I can see it. Do you guys agree that you shouldn't say anything, or should it be more advertised?
It's tough. It especially depends on the way the person exits. Are they going on their own terms? Are they getting laid off? Are they getting terminated? I think it's going to vary. It's definitely tough. Yeah.
Go ahead, finish, Chris. Sorry.
No, I was just saying because, like you said, if you announce it, then that could dent morale. If you let people find out about it, then people could feel like, hey, this should have been something told to us. But
in my next.
Yeah.
I'll play devil's advocate. Why would the company need to announce it? Like, it's like no one announces when the person leaves. Like, hey, so and so left the company because they wanted a different job, or they quit. No, you don't announce that. And I'm kind of looking at it from the management side. Is like, is it really even necessary? And does it cause more harm than good? Right.
Yeah,
I think you might have
sales
small
manager, so I don't have to make these tough calls.
I think the impact is pretty small. Like for Chris, right? He ended up having to cover a session last minute, and I know that there was a sales rep that was planning a follow-up discussion with that person, and now he's just like, "Who the heck do I call on?" And they're like, "We don't even know." So, but in the grand scheme of things, that's really small impact, I guess.
Yeah, and having a succession plan as well.
Designated survivor.
Yeah. Go check out layoffs.fyi. I'll link through to it in the show notes. This is actually a pretty cool site, layoffs.fyi. It tracks all at least the public ones, because I know there have been some private rifts at some other companies that don't show up on here, but if there's a public source for it, they've been tracking all the layoffs. And there's even a tab. I didn't know this until I dove deeper into the site maybe last week, but there's a tab that actually lists the laid off employees on there. It has like their name, their email address, and I think it's in the hopes that if you're looking for someone to fill a position, you can go there and talk to one of these people that have been affected by a layoff. But it's interesting. They graph the data. They show how many companies did layoffs, how many people got laid off, and that's how it came out to that number, 100,000 layoffs in 2023 alone.
Life Hacks by Chris Louie.
Yeah, and if you can help out, reach out to someone that's been affected. Tech is a small community, and we try to help each other out.
Wow. I just can't. I'm just looking at that tab, and I'm just so surprised at how open these lists are. It's just crazy. I wouldn't know if I want my own personal information inside there. Like, how did they get that? I know it's public, but man.
Yeah.
That's
I don't even know if it's
really
public or if it's opt-in, or there are some of these companies that set up LinkedIn pages for affected employees, and you can just opt into it. So I don't know where they source that information from, but it's very personal details. First name, last name, email address.
Yeah.
If I had my evildoer hat on, you could use this list, harvest it, and do phishing campaigns of people that says, hey, I heard you're out of a job. Would you like to apply? And then send them a phishing link or something. Kick them while they're down. But
yeah.
I don't know. That's the hacker side of me thinking out loud. I would never do that, of course. But yeah, nefarious ways to use this data.
Yeah, but what happens if you wanted to opt out? Like, you saw your name inside here. This goes back to this whole, PI information thing, right? If I wanted to opt out, and do I send an email to layoffs.fyi and say, hey, you've got my name listed in one of your trade lists. I want my name out, and clear me out because I live in California. Like, can you go do that?
Yeah, I think at the very top of that page, it says, if your info is here and you want it off, there's a way to contact them to get it off.
Yeah.
Because that would be ideal, be able to, your right to be forgotten.
Yeah, I would definitely totally agree. Don't like this at all.
For our second topic, I like this story a lot because I am a PC gamer, and a huge downside of PC gaming, actually Brian, you're a PC gamer too, is that it's notoriously plagued by cheaters and hackers. And not to say that console gaming is immune from hackers, but much less prevalent compared to PC gaming. Valve, the makers of the popular Dota 2 game, and yes, Brian, it is a popular game, they did something interesting when they closed an exploit people were using to cheat at the game. Valve patched the vulnerability, but they also installed a honeypot at the same time to find out which of its players were exploiting this vulnerability. After collecting enough data, Valve banned every account that attempted this exploit in its honeypot, which ended up being about 40,000 gamer accounts. And I really like this quote from Valve that they announced. They say, and I quote, "Each of the accounts banned today read from this, quote, secret area in the client, giving us extremely high confidence that every ban was well deserved."
Do they lose revenue from that, though, when they ban 40,000 accounts? Like, that's kind of like left hand slapping the right hand that's on the same body.
Well, no, they
Brian.
neglected to tell you there was 100,000 accounts. So these are the bottom 40% that were contributing. The guys are out there freebieing.
The flip side of that is, like, I will not play a game or I will not buy a game if it's known to be plagued by hackers and cheaters. So their interest is to make sure it's fair for everyone. That drives revenue, that drives engagement. Because if I go into a lobby and I die immediately through no fault of my own, I'm never going to play that game again. And that's not what Valve wants. They want people to sign on to the game, continue buying the DLCs and engage with the game, post about it. And if every post on Twitter about your game is about these cheaters, that's not good PR for them.
It's funny, when I was reading this article, I was like, I don't care. And I don't even know if this thing's even real. And then I see the note in there, but yes, Brian, it's a popular game. So you got me there, Chris. You really know me well.
I do.
By the way, I love this idea of a honeypot. like they patched the bug and then they had a honeypot and they're just waiting for that exploit to be leveraged and they just knew exactly who it was. Like that is creative. I don't know that I would have necessarily made this public information.
Yeah.
Like I think other gamers should be, other streaming platforms of online gaming should be doing this exact same thing if they really want to ban accounts that are cheating.
Yeah, I think they announced it's a shot across the bow that says, "We're watching for you. You better not do this again."
Yeah, but then dude creates another account, another email associated, and often to the races they go, right? I mean, this is kind of whack-a-mole over here as well, too, right?
Unless they ban the system, right? Don't they have like unique identifiers?
They do, and then you have to buy a new copy of the game, basically. So Glenn, what you may not understand because you are not a PC gamer,
because you're so old,
is that the whole reason people cheat. I guess there's two reasons. There's two reasons people cheat. One is they're a streamer, and if they're really good at the game, then they get more people watching their streams. They make more money that way. It should be obvious that they're cheating if you're getting a headshot every time, but that's neither here nor there. The other reason is for bragging rights. So if you want to have a really high, what's called a kill-death ratio, that you kill way more people than you die, you get internet clout. So if you ban someone's account and they have to they get wiped out and they have to start anew, that's taking away their incentive because they lose their valuable profile with this high KD ratio.
Yeah, I guess for me it'd be like go back to the 40,000 accounts, and were any of them high volume accounts that really had a bunch of high notarized names, and now just trash their names out, right? Even though they've been banned.
Yeah,
so that way
that's just
they
like
go to
the guy
platform.
that cheated at chess. Was it Hans Niemann? The guy that cheated at chess.com? Now he was a top-ranked player, and now his name is sullied by this whole cheating scandal.
I may have to have everybody stop and restart because I'm having Audacity issues. But Chris spends a lot more time editing Brian's audio than mine, probably. Be true. Be true here. Come on.
Probably not.
Bleep. Edit that out. See?
You're on
Said
mute.
something good. You're on mute again.
Right. All right, for our third topic, the U.S. is one step closer to getting IoT security labels, a much-needed system for internet-connected devices by the U.S. NIST, our National Institute for Standards and Technology. There are more internet-connected devices than people on the planet, and that trend is not going away anytime soon. Companies that opt into this system, so it is an opt-in model, will get a rating for devices they produce and will rate the devices for things like hard-coded passwords, security efficacy, and the like. Don't expect to see these labels on cheap made-in-China cameras or devices, but it allows consumers to make intelligent decisions when purchasing internet-connected devices, or companies can require a minimum certification level before purchasing. So think of selling a router to a U.S. government agency. It must have at least an A rating before you're allowed to buy it. So you can't buy something that's not meeting that minimum requirement. Phase 1 will be consumer routers, light switches, cameras, and the like. And a phase 2 eventually will include healthcare and smart cities. So I think this is good all around. This is much needed. I can't tell you how many times I've had to offer tech support to people that buy these cheap IoT devices and they either break, or I have to tell them, hey, that thing might be vulnerable. I would not put that on my home network. So if we have these labels, they could see a score A through F, make their own choice.
So I just think this is a big old money grab because I read in there that you can get a certification, or a stamp of approval, right? And so anytime the government's behind something, someone's going to get paid. So just know that. And I kind of feel like the whole prevent, detect, assess, and remediate, that's just common sense. We should be doing that anyways, but now you're just going to force people to do it, which is good. But, whatever. And I thought it was also funny that they're going to focus on homes first and then smart cities. I'm like, you think we should probably maybe focus on the smart cities first?
A little bit of a priority issue here.
No one shuts off the lights on us unexpectedly.
And then, one other thing I came across that I didn't know about. So I knew about GDPR. So that's the General Data Protection Regulation, like EU nonsense.
Processing.
Yeah. So apparently Singapore has one. So the CSA, Central Security Agency, I guess they have their own version of GDPR. So that was good. One good thing to come out of this article, because I'm sure it'll probably come up, and I have discussions with people over there.
What? Yeah, but I mean, just for home use, right? This is going to remove the dumminess factor out of it, right? If people see that there's a rating on IoT devices for their home, they're not going to go to like what used to be Fry's and look at a bunch of cameras or look at a bunch of routers and then go, okay, this thing is certified, so I should somewhat be okay with this, right? Instead of guessing like, okay, I'm just going to go pick the cheapest one because they're all the same.
You would think so, but no, because it's kind of like public education, right? The teachers are taught to teach the dumbest person in the room. So like this is going to be a pretty low bar and standard, in my opinion.
It is, but if you go on Amazon and this is a test you do yourself, go to Amazon, look for wireless camera or Wi-Fi connected camera. There are literally thousands of companies with names you never heard of. You try to research the company, and it's like one OEM that just retails it under 50 different names. Like if you just go to a device and it says to obtain a C rating, Brian says C's get degrees. You get a C rating, and as long as it doesn't have a hard-coded password, as long as the manufacturer is committed to providing security updates for at least 3 years, as long as it's it supports multi-factor authentication, like if you can meet those minimum requirements, I mean that would get rid of a lot of the junk that's on the internet right now if you just have those minimum standards.
I think what they're going to come out with is to get a B, you have to have a backdoor hard-coded into your thing to allow the FBI to come in and patch it themselves.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened before, like that Windows server or something?
That happened to bcrypt. So the bcrypt library put out by RSA. It's never been. Someone can fact check me on it. It's never been proven, but bcrypt was vulnerable, and RSA changed the algorithm after consulting with the U.S. NSA. So it's one of those things, you make the call, but if it smells like it, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
It's a chicken.
Epstein didn't hang himself. By the way, I should have said that. At the end of your poem, you set me up like so well for that, and I was too busy laughing at you.
What about Epstein?
Yeah, because he said something about the truck, and you're like, but if it quacks like a duck, then I should have said Epstein didn't kill himself. But it's okay.
Something to prepare for episode 200.
Yeah, it's true.
Forward thinking. Freaking
Two more years we'll hit 100. Yeah. Which episode 104 is coming up, and that will be our 2-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Is this going to be like the people that date in high school? It's like our 1 month anniversary. It's our 6 month. It's the 1 month since you asked my parents to take me on a date. Is that what we're going to start doing? This is like weirdo stuff. Anniversary.
We're breaking new ground here, though, right?
Yeah.
So,
we used to celebrate every 10 episodes. So that's how we got all our PEBCAK swag. And then now we're doing annual. We're doing 100 episodes.
What is the PEBCAK swag that's coming in next? I'm dying to know.
Yeah,
or is it my turn to buy?
You got to figure something out for that.
I don't know, but to all you listeners out there, Brian is starting to sound like an old wife. Just repeating himself and just nagging all the time.
That's your wife. Just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding,
right.
Rosie.
Before this devolves any further, for our last topic, it will be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about Netflix password sharing. Well, we knew the day would be coming, and it is here now. After a decade of not caring about password sharing, Netflix is cracking down on multiple households sharing one Netflix account. Previously, Netflix did not care how many households were sharing a password, but you could only have a certain number of concurrent streams. This worked well if you had relatives around the world where no 3 people would be watching at the same time. Well, Wall Street came in knocking, and after disappointing subscriber growth numbers, massive losses in the original content department, and people quitting Netflix, they decided to put an end to password sharing. Now, a device will only be allowed to stream if it connects to your home Wi-Fi network once every 30 days. This is fine for your average users, but if you take your phone, tablet, or laptop with you, generally you return home once every 30 days. But if you share it with a relative around the world, that can't happen. If you want a separate account for a separate location, that's an extra $9 a month. Well, Netflix is getting into a bit of trouble with these edge cases of people getting cut off from their Netflix account. At first, Netflix took the position that a Tesla car would not be allowed to stream Netflix when at a supercharger or anywhere except the home, because that would count as a separate location. Netflix quickly backtracked on that after extreme backlash from Tesla owners. Now there are cases coming up like this. Cancer patient in Canada who's at the hospital for long-term care, and his Netflix access was cut off because he's literally not allowed to go back home. Netflix did not comment on that story. What do you guys think about Netflix's crackdown on password sharing?
It's lame.
There's a whole new... Oh, go ahead.
It's lame, right? Like, what if you have a couple houses? You know, I'm not going to go get an account for each house. That's kind of lame. It's like I pay for a subscription.
Yeah, $8 a month, or you got to bring that device there. But if it's a smart TV, and that's super inconvenient, you can't take that home every 30 days.
Yeah, I can't do that without some technology. Yeah,
it's so easy to solve, guys. Just got to rename your Wi-Fi to what Chris uses, FBI surveillance camera, like at all your houses, at all your parents' houses, and
they'll
like
never know.
They'll never know. Like, checkmate. Brian,
I was talking to a buddy about this. He has a rental. He lives here in the Bay Area, but he has a rental property in Lake Tahoe, or I forgot if it's a rental or a second home. But he's like, "How can I use my Comcast account? Because Comcast locks it to your home location." I said, "Just buy a router from a reputable company, set up an open VPN tunnel, and just do a tunnel-to-tunnel, point-to-point connection. There you go."
Well, Chris, great advice. For the guy that was in the hospital, and he was probably just trying to do Netflix and recover, but he ended up getting like the old Netflix and catheter. Like, that was probably a very painful situation for him.
Yeah, I'd say
the look on Glenn's face tells me he's had a catheter. I'm sorry, brother. That.
I haven't had a catheter, but I've my prior military life, I may have been in on having a catheter put in, not on me, but maybe on a patient. So, not the most.
What kind of dental work were you doing, Glenn?
Well, guys, when you're in the military, you just don't do dental work. You do maxillofacial surgery. You're in traumas. You're in all kinds of things. So, more so than just filling teeth.
My daughter, I think she broke her clavicle, the collarbone. Yeah. So we're in there, and right next to us is it's just like the sheet. We're at the emergency room, and so you can hear what's going on. And there's this sweet old lady in there, and the nurse is like, "All right, we have to put a catheter on you." And she's like, "What's that? I don't know what that means." And then next thing, all you hear is, "What are you doing to me? Stop! Stop!" She's screaming, and me and my wife are like, just like. Like, we know what's going on. The kids are like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "You don't even want to know." And just like, you just hear this poor lady screaming. It was mortifying.
Explain it to you when you're older.
Yeah.
Usually you have to sign for consent for that before they stick it in. So.
I am sure there was somebody there to sign for that. But it was like, I thought somebody was being murdered, and I was like, if I ever need a catheter, I'm just gonna jump off a cliff instead, because that sounded terrible.
Yeah,
I've got some news for you, Brian, for your upcoming appointment later this year.
Schedule that for Brian.
When I'm permanently off the podcast, you know why. That is an exit-only type of scenario. You know what blows my mind is people being mad about the Tesla superchargers, because anytime I try to watch anything as supercharger, I have like zero Wi-Fi or zero service. Like, it's just terrible. I can't watch anything anyways. Yeah.
So maybe that's more of a problem in Arizona. Like, all the Bay Area, or the ones in California. I shouldn't just say Bay Area. All the ones in California, I've been able to stream from.
So if you pay for the streaming service, right? Do you still use the Wi-Fi that's coming through the charge cable at a Tesla charger, or does that?
Brian's laughing.
I don't know. Like I said, I think the Wi-Fi on the Tesla, right, is fine. I've never had that problem. Do you guys?
The superchargers don't have Wi-Fi yet, so it's still LTE only. They're eventually going to get it. I think they're going to get Starlink at some point for Wi-Fi, but it's still LTE right now.
It just sounded like...
Yeah, but I thought someone said that the Wi-Fi comes in through the charge port or through... That's not true then. Like
as far as I know.
Internet over power.
There is.
Oh, yeah. Ethernet, EOP.
EOP.
Ethernet over power.
I'm wrong.
He's looking for it.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Wall Street's got to really straighten Netflix out soon enough. If they got this wrong and they have a record subscriber loss, I think they might reverse course on this. But damage already done because people that are so upset by this, they quit. They either pirate the material, they join Hulu or Disney Plus, someone that's not quite so restricted. But after 10 years of them not only allowing it but celebrating it, they used to have Twitter posts that says, this Valentine's Day, share your password with someone you love. Like celebrating password sharing, then for them to just yank the rug out from under people. I think that's probably what's more upsetting.
Well, Amazon is like, if you have an Amazon subscription, I'd rather just deal with that because it comes with free delivery.
Yeah. Do you think they just raised the rates? I think Prime's $180 a year now. So
oh my God! Cancel.
180? Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow! I need to go look at my subscription.
Yeah, and that's only shipping and streaming and limited music, like the premium Amazon Music. That's extra. Audible is extra. The grocery service, delivery service, like the new minimum's $100.
That's right.
They keep raising the price and watering it down.
Yeah. Agree.
Good job, Andy Jassy.
It's got to make money.
Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, Brian's up.
Wow, I'm so excited. Let me think here. All right, so I think we have Easter coming up.
Make it clean, Brian.
I'll text you guys what I was just about to say. It's like Glenn knew, like he knew.
We all knew, Brian.
All right, so just one clean one for the show. Okay, so cow tipping is a myth. Cattle rarely tip even when the service is good.
Wow. All right, so go ahead and say the other one, and we'll clear this one out and make this the NFT.
No, because it'll be an NFT, and then it'll be there forever, and I can't have that kind of, like, when I run for Congress one day, out of nowhere, Chris is going to be releasing drops. I'm like, oh, geez, this dude.
Yeah, I won't release it for free. I'll just make your opposition buy it.
There you go.
Buy the Oppo research as the NFT.
I still don't like that at all. How can I trust you, Chris?
All right, to wrap things up, layoffs are happening, so watch out for insider threats. Valve banned users who were cheating, and they found them in a creative way. IoT security labels are coming soon. And Netflix is about to suffer a world of hurt over their password sharing policy. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all our listeners and subscribers who raised 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. From my co-host Brian Deitch and Glenn Medina, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.